On one isolated island in the Indonesian archipelago, evolution didn't move forward. It stayed prehistoric. Here, in a handful of volcanic islands scattered across the Lesser Sunda chain, the largest lizards on Earth reign as apex predators. They are living relics from an ancient world. They are cannibals. They are venomous. They are monsters. The sun rises over Komodo Island, casting long shadows across the dry savanna. The landscape is harsh, unforgiving. Rocky outcrops jut from sparse grasslands. The air shimmers with heat, even in the early morning. This is not a paradise. This is a proving ground. And in this isolated corner of the world, something survived that should have vanished millions of years ago. A shape moves through the tall grass, low to the ground, powerful, ancient. The Komodo dragon emerges into the light. 3 meters long, over 150 kilograms of pure predatory muscle. Its yellow tongue flicks out, tasting the air, sampling molecules, hunting. This is not just the world's largest lizard. This is evolution's refusal to let go of the past. 4 million years ago, the ancestors of the Komodo dragon evolved in Australia. Massive monitor lizards that stalked prehistoric prey through eucalyptus forests. But then something remarkable happened. Some of these ancient reptiles made a journey. When sea levels dropped during ice ages, land bridges formed between islands. The monitors crossed. And when the seas rose again, they were trapped. Isolated on a handful of Indonesian islands, cut off from the mainland, these creatures faced a choice: adapt or die. But here's what makes Komodo unique. They didn't need to change much. The islands offered something extraordinary. A laboratory where prehistoric rules still applied. First, extreme isolation. The deep seas between these islands and the rest of Indonesia created natural barriers. No large predators could cross. No competition arrived. The Komodo dragons had their kingdom to themselves. Second, the climate is brutal. Komodo Island and its neighbors experience a harsh tropical savanna climate. Dry season brings months without rain. Waterholes evaporate. Prey becomes scarce. Only the most efficient predators survive. The Komodo dragon's metabolism is so efficient it can convert 80% of consumed food into energy. They can eat just 12 times per year and thrive. They can consume 80% of their body weight in a single feeding and rest for weeks while they digest. Third, the ecosystem is closed. Limited resources. Limited prey. This created a perfect environment for an apex predator with no rivals. When humans introduced deer, pigs, and water buffalo to the islands thousands of years ago, they unknowingly provided the dragons with the exact prey species their ancestors had evolved to hunt in Australia. The Komodo dragon returned to its ecological niche from millions of years before. Here, on these remote volcanic islands, the normal rules of evolution do not apply. There is no pressure to become faster, smarter, more specialized. The Komodo dragon has remained largely unchanged because it reached evolutionary perfection for its environment millions of years ago. This is a place where time stood still, where the Mesozoic never truly ended. Stand face to face with the Komodo dragon, and you are looking at something that should not exist in the modern world. Males reach 3 meters in length. 10 feet of armored, muscular reptile. They weigh over 150 kilograms. More than 300 pounds. Some exceptional individuals tip the scales at 190 kilograms. Their bodies are covered in scales embedded with osteoderms, small pieces of bone that create natural armor plating. Their skin ranges from gray to reddish-brown, perfectly camouflaged against the dry earth and sparse vegetation of their habitat. Their tails are as long as the rest of their bodies, thick with muscle, capable of sweeping prey off their feet with a single swing. But it's the teeth that truly reveal their prehistoric nature. Serrated, curved backward like shark teeth, designed not to grip but to slash and tear. Each tooth has cutting edges along both sides, like miniature steak knives. When a Komodo bites, it doesn't just puncture. It saws through flesh and bone. Their heads are massive, flat, and broad. Yellow tongues flick constantly from their mouths, nearly a meter long, forked at the tip. This tongue delivers air samples to the Jacobson's organ on the roof of their mouth, a sophisticated chemical detection system that can identify the scent of carrion from 8 kilometers away. They can distinguish individual scents on different forks of their tongue, allowing them to track prey in 3-dimensional space. The comparison to dinosaurs is not metaphorical. When scientists examine the skeleton and behavior of the Komodo dragon, they see echoes of the great predatory reptiles that dominated the Cretaceous period. The powerful limbs, the tail used for balance and as a weapon, the ambush hunting strategy, the ability to bring down prey many times their own size. In fact, the Komodo dragon's closest extinct relative was even more terrifying. Varanus priscus, also called Megalania, roamed Australia until 50,000 years ago. It grew to 7 meters long and weighed 700 kilograms. It may have overlapped with the first humans who arrived in Australia. Imagine encountering that monster as you walked through the eucalyptus forest. A dragon weighing more than a horse, with venom and teeth designed to kill prey as large as a rhinoceros. The Komodo dragon survived when its giant cousin did not. It survived in isolation. It survived because these islands provided exactly what a prehistoric predator needed: no competition, abundant prey, and the freedom to remain exactly what it had always been: a killing machine perfected over millions of years. A Timor deer drinks at one of the few remaining water holes on Komodo Island. The dry season has been long. The deer is thirsty, desperate. It lowers its head to drink. 30 meters away, hidden in the tall grass, a Komodo dragon has been waiting for 3 hours, motionless, patient. It detected the deer's scent over a kilometer away. It moved into position along the game trail and settled in to wait. This is the essence of its hunting strategy. Not speed, not strength alone, patience. The dragon's eyes track the deer. It can see movement clearly up to 300 meters away, though it sees poorly in dim light. But this is midday. Perfect hunting conditions. The deer turns its head. For one moment, its throat is exposed. The dragon lunges. For an animal that weighs over 150 kilograms, the initial charge is shockingly fast. 20 kilometers per hour in short bursts. Faster than most humans can run. The dragon covers the distance in seconds. The deer tries to flee, but it's too late. The dragon's jaws clamp onto the deer's hind leg. Now the real killing begins. Those serrated teeth tear through muscle and tendons. The dragon pulls back with enormous force, using its powerful neck muscles. The bite creates massive lacerating wounds. But the physical damage is only part of the attack. Something far more insidious is happening. In the dragon's lower jaw, specialized venom glands release a complex cocktail of toxins directly into the wound. For decades, scientists believed that bacteria in the dragon's saliva killed its prey through septic infection. They were wrong. Recent research has revealed the truth. The Komodo dragon is venomous. Genuinely, lethally venomous. The venom contains at least 11 different toxins working in horrifying synergy. Anticoagulant proteins prevent blood from clotting. The wound bleeds continuously, massively. Kallikrein toxins cause blood pressure to plummet. The prey goes into hypotensive shock. Phospholipase enzymes damage cell membranes throughout the body. Natriuretic peptides relax blood vessel walls, further dropping blood pressure. Crisp proteins induce cramping and intense pain. The deer manages to break free. It runs. This is what the dragon expects. This is what it wants. The dragon doesn't pursue immediately. It watches. It waits. It has already won. Within minutes, the deer begins to weaken. Blood pours from the wound. The venom prevents clotting, turning what should be a manageable injury into a hemorrhagic catastrophe. The deer's blood pressure crashes. It stumbles. Its breathing becomes labored. The venom induces shock, sending the animal into a downward spiral from which there is no recovery. Studies show that prey animals die not from infection or blood loss alone, but from the combined effect of massive bleeding and circulatory collapse induced by the venom. Most large prey succumb within hours. Some take days, but they all die. And the Komodo dragon follows at a distance, using its extraordinary sense of smell to track the dying animal. The dragon finds the deer collapsed in the shade of a tree, barely alive. Now comes the feast. The dragon approaches and delivers the killing bite to the throat. The deer stops breathing. The dragon tears into the carcass with savage efficiency. Its jaw joints are loosely connected, allowing it to open its mouth to an enormous gape. It can swallow chunks of meat the size of a human head. Whole, the dragon's throat muscles are incredibly powerful, pulling massive portions of flesh down into an expandable stomach. A 40-kilogram deer requires only 4 milligrams of venom proteins entering the bloodstream to induce immobilizing hypotension, 16 milligrams for complete hypotensive collapse. A single bite from an adult Komodo delivers more than enough. And unlike snakes with weak venom delivery systems, the dragon's bite ensures deep penetration of those toxins into muscle tissue and blood vessels. This is not the bacteria-laden bite of myth and legend. This is genuine envenomation. This is a killing system refined over 4 million years. A combination of massive physical trauma, hemorrhagic venom, and hypotensive shock that makes the Komodo dragon one of the most effective predators on the planet. And they do not wait days for their prey to die. That's a myth born from misunderstood observations. When a Komodo dragon hunts successfully, it kills large prey in less than half an hour. The venom doesn't slowly weaken the animal over days. It induces rapid, catastrophic physiological collapse. The dragon tracks. The dragon finds. The dragon feeds. April on Komodo Island. The rainy season has ended. Deep in an abandoned megapode nest, 30 eggs begin to hatch. Inside each egg, a tiny Komodo dragon tears through the shell with an egg tooth. It's an exhausting process that takes hours. When they finally emerge, the hatchlings are 46 centimeters long and weigh barely 100 grams, about the size of a pair of socks. They are born defenseless in a world designed to kill them. And the greatest threat they face is not snakes or birds of prey. It's their own species. It's their own mother. Adult Komodo dragons are cannibals. They actively hunt and eat juvenile dragons. Studies show that young Komodos make up 10% of an adult dragon's diet. 10%. This is not opportunistic scavenging. This is deliberate predation on their own offspring. The hatchlings know this instinctively. Within hours of emerging from their eggs, they climb up into the trees, high into the branches where the heavy adults cannot follow. For the first 4 years of their lives, young Komodo dragons are arboreal. They live in the canopy. They hunt insects, beetles, grasshoppers. They eat bird eggs. They catch small geckos. Anything they can find in the trees where they are relatively safe. But they must come down eventually to find water, to find better food sources. And when they do, they employ a desperate survival strategy that seems almost unbelievable. They roll in feces. They crawl inside the intestines of eviscerated animals. They coat themselves in the most disgusting substances they can find. Why? Because adult Komodo dragons are programmed to avoid attacking anything that smells like a mature dragon. Fecal matter carries that scent. By covering themselves in it, the juveniles create a chemical disguise that makes adults hesitate. It doesn't always work, but it keeps enough of them alive to continue the species. Cannibalism in Komodo dragons serves a biological purpose. The islands have limited prey resources. By eating their own young, adults ensure that only the strongest, most cunning juveniles survive to adulthood. It's natural selection at its most brutal. And it may explain why Komodo dragons grow so large. In an environment where medium-sized prey is rare, consuming smaller members of your own species provides crucial nutrition. But cannibalism doesn't end with adults hunting juveniles. Adult males fight violently. During mating season, males engage in ritualized combat that often ends with serious injury. They rear up on their hind legs, using their tails for support, and grapple with their front claws. They bite, they slash. The loser retreats with bloody wounds. Sometimes the loser dies. And when it does, other dragons feed on the corpse. There is no mercy in this world, no parental care. Female Komodo dragons lay their eggs and guard them for months during incubation. But once those eggs hatch, the mother disappears. The hatchlings are on their own. If they encounter their mother again, she might eat them. There is no recognition, no bond, just hunger. This behavior extends to feeding frenzies. When a large kill is made, multiple Komodo dragons converge on the carcass. A strict hierarchy determines feeding order. The largest dragons eat first. Smaller individuals wait their turn. But if a smaller dragon gets too bold, if it tries to feed before its time, the larger animals attack. They bite, they drive it away, sometimes they kill it. And then they eat it along with the original prey. Even their reproductive strategy reveals this ruthlessness. Female Komodo dragons can reproduce through parthenogenesis, virgin birth. When no males are available, females can produce eggs that develop into male offspring without fertilization. These males are genetic clones of their mother, carrying only her chromosomes. This ability allows a single female to colonize an island alone, creating an entire population from nothing. It's an evolutionary backup system that speaks to the savage pragmatism of their survival strategy. When we call the Komodo dragon a monster, we are not being dramatic. We are being accurate. This is an animal that eats its own children, that fights its own kind to the death, that will consume anything, including its own species, to survive. This is evolution stripped of all sentimentality. This is nature at its most primal and terrifying. Between 1974 and 2012, there were 24 documented attacks on humans by Komodo dragons. 5 were fatal. These are not theoretical dangers. These are real incidents where people encountered these prehistoric predators and lost. In 2007, an 8-year-old boy named Mansour was playing soccer with his friends near his village on Komodo Island. He walked behind some bush to relieve himself. A Komodo dragon lunged. The boy's friends ran for help. His uncle came running and threw rocks at the dragon until it released the child, but it was too late. Mansour died from massive blood loss. Some reports say he was bitten in half. The first fatal attack on a human in 33 years. In 2009, a fisherman named Muhammad Anwar was gathering fruit on Komodo Island. He fell from a tree. 2 Komodo dragons were waiting below. They attacked immediately. His neighbors heard the commotion and came running. By the time they arrived, Anwar had already suffered fatal injuries. Bites to his hands, legs, body, and neck. He bled to death before reaching the hospital. That same year, a park ranger named Man was working at the staff office building on Rinka Island. The building sat on stilts, as all buildings do on these islands, and Komodo dragons often gathered below looking for food scraps. Mayan went to sit at his desk. He didn't check underneath. A dragon was there. It lunged and clamped its jaws onto his leg. Mayan fought. He grabbed a chair and beat the dragon. It wouldn't let go. The serrated teeth were locked into his muscle. He finally managed to pry the jaws open and escape to the stairs, but his leg was bleeding heavily. And then he smelled something that made his blood run cold. Other dragons, 7 or 8 of them, attracted by the scent of his blood, circling the building. If his fellow rangers hadn't been there to help, Man would have been torn apart. He survived, barely. He spent weeks in the hospital. The wound required extensive treatment. The venom caused prolonged bleeding and infection. But man was lucky. He had immediate help. He had modern medical care. Most importantly, he wasn't alone when the other dragons came. In the United States, Komodo dragon attacks are even rarer, but they happen. In 2001, a man named Phil Bronstein visited the Los Angeles Zoo. A zookeeper offered him a private encounter with a Komodo dragon. Bronstein removed his white shoes because the keeper thought they might remind the dragon of the white rats it was fed. He stepped into the enclosure to take a photograph. The dragon lunged. It grabbed Bronstein's foot in its jaws and began jerking its head back and forth, trying to tear the foot off. Bronstein managed to pry the jaws open and drag himself out. The top half of his foot was gone. Surgeons reattached tendons. He survived. But he nearly lost his entire foot to a captive, supposedly controlled animal. These incidents reveal something crucial. Humans are not safe around Komodo dragons. We are not apex predators in their presence. We are prey. Our tools, our weapons, our intelligence matter very little when a 150-kilogram carnivore with venom and serrated teeth decides we look like food. Local villagers on Komodo Island have learned to coexist with the dragons, but they do so with extreme caution. They move their graveyards from sandy soil to clay and pile rocks on top because Komodo dragons will dig up freshly buried corpses and eat them. They never walk alone in dragon territory. They carry large sticks, though these offer minimal protection against an animal that can take down a water buffalo. Children are taught from an early age to stay in groups, to watch the ground, to never be complacent. Modern weapons provide some advantage. Rangers at Komodo National Park carry forked sticks to pin dragons if they get too aggressive. But even armed rangers treat these animals with immense respect. Because a Komodo dragon is fast, it's powerful, and it's venomous. If it gets its jaws on you, you have seconds to react before the venom enters your bloodstream. After that, every moment counts. The anticoagulants prevent clotting. The hypotensive toxins drop your blood pressure. The shock sets in. Without immediate medical intervention, you die. There is no antivenom for Komodo dragon bites. Treatment is purely supportive. Stop the bleeding. Administer antibiotics to prevent secondary infection. Provide fluids to counteract shock. Clean and debride the wound. Hope the patient's immune system can handle the venom load. Many don't make it. Those who do often suffer permanent damage. Tendons severed. Nerves destroyed. Muscle tissue lost. The message is clear. We may have conquered most of the planet. We may have eliminated most large predators. But on Komodo Island and its neighboring islands, we are not the top of the food chain. The dragons are. And they know it. 50,000 years ago, the Komodo dragon's cousin Megalania vanished from Australia. Around the same time, dozens of other megafauna species went extinct. Giant wombats, enormous kangaroos, massive flightless birds. A pattern emerged across continents. Wherever humans arrived, the largest animals disappeared. The Komodo dragon should have followed them into extinction. It had every reason to disappear. Large body size, slow reproduction, the dependence on specific prey animals, vulnerability to habitat change. These are classic extinction risk factors. And yet, the Komodo dragon survived. The question is not why it evolved. The question is why it's still here when everything like it is gone. The answer lies in those islands. When sea levels rose after the last ice age, the Indonesian archipelago became fragmented. Land bridges disappeared. The Komodo dragons that had migrated from Australia found themselves trapped on a handful of volcanic islands, isolated, cut off from the mainland. And on those islands, something remarkable happened. Nothing else arrived. No large mammalian predators crossed the deep ocean channels. No tigers, no leopards, no wolves. The Komodo dragon had no competition. It became the apex predator by default, and it has remained the apex predator for millions of years. The islands themselves are not ideal habitat. They're dry. Resources are limited. Human populations have always been small because the environment is harsh. Komodo Island, the largest of their range, is only 35 kilometers long. It's hot. It's rugged. It's not a place where large human settlements thrive. And because humans never colonized these islands in great numbers, the dragons were never systematically hunted to extinction the way Megalania was in Australia. But isolation alone doesn't explain their survival. The Komodo dragon possesses specific adaptations that make it uniquely suited to persist in marginal environments. Their metabolism is so efficient, they can survive on 12 large meals per year. They can fast for months without losing significant body condition. They can consume 80% of their body weight in a single feeding, storing energy in their tails and bodies to sustain them through lean times. Their kidneys are adapted to conserve water in arid environments. They can drink brackish water that would sicken most animals. They can swim long distances between islands, allowing them to colonize new territories when necessary. Female dragons can reproduce through parthenogenesis, producing male offspring without mating. This means a single pregnant female washing ashore on an uninhabited island can establish an entire population. Ironically, humans may have helped the Komodo dragon survive. 7,000 to 10,000 years ago, when humans began settling the Indonesian islands, they brought domesticated animals with them: pigs, goats, water buffalo, deer. These introduced species became the primary prey for Komodo dragons. The animals that the dragons evolved to hunt in prehistoric Australia were replaced by similar species introduced by humans. The ecological niche remained intact, but the most important factor in their survival is stagnation. The Komodo dragon reached evolutionary perfection for its environment millions of years ago. There was no pressure to change, no predators to drive defensive adaptations, no competitors to force specialization. The dragon could remain exactly what it was: a generalist predator, an ambush hunter, a scavenger when necessary, a cannibal when prey was scarce. This is evolutionary stasis, the absence of change over geological time. Most species evolve rapidly in response to environmental pressures. The Komodo dragon did not. It didn't need to. Its body plan worked 4 million years ago. It works today. Why modify perfection? Today, only between 3,000 and 5,000 Komodo dragons remain in the wild. They exist on just 5 islands: Komodo, Rinca, Flores, Gili Motang, and Gili Dasami. Their range has never been smaller. Climate change threatens their habitat. Rising sea levels could submerge significant portions of their islands within a century. Human encroachment continues. Illegal poaching of their prey reduces food availability. In 2021, the International Union for Conservation of Nature reclassified the Komodo dragon from vulnerable to endangered. The species that survived for millions of years, that outlasted its giant cousins, that persisted through climate changes and sea level fluctuations, now faces its greatest threat: us. But perhaps the greatest irony is this: the Komodo dragon survives because it was isolated, because it was cut off from the rest of the world, because it lived in a place too harsh for most humans to bother with. Its survival was an accident of geography, a lucky break. And now, that isolation may not be enough. The world has found the Komodo dragon, and history suggests that's usually the beginning of the end for prehistoric survivors. The sun sets over Komodo Island. The dry savanna turns gold in the fading light. A dragon emerges from its burrow, 3 meters of prehistoric power, scales glinting like armor. It stands motionless on a ridge, silhouetted against the sky. Its tongue flicks out, tasting the air. Somewhere in the distance, prey moves through the grass. This animal is not a relic. It is not a fossil. It is not a curiosity from the distant past. The Komodo dragon is a living, breathing apex predator. It kills with venom and serrated teeth. It eats its own young. It has survived for 4 million years, by being exactly what it is, a monster. We call them dragons because no other word fits. They look like creatures from mythology. They hunt like demons from ancient legends. They survive where nothing else their size could survive. They represent a chapter of Earth's history that should have closed millions of years ago. And yet, they persist. On these isolated islands, evolution didn't move forward. It didn't need to. The Komodo dragon reached perfection at a time before humans walked the earth. It found a place where the old rules still applied, where size and strength and patience mattered more than speed or intelligence, where venom and teeth could bring down prey 10 times your weight, where cannibalism was not monstrous but practical. In 1980, Indonesia established Komodo National Park to protect these creatures. 700 square miles of protected habitat, a sanctuary for the largest lizards on Earth. Park rangers patrol the islands. Scientists study the dragons. Tourists come from around the world to see them, but protection only goes so far. Climate change doesn't respect park boundaries. Rising seas don't stop at sanctuary borders. The Komodo dragon teaches us something profound about evolution. It shows us that sometimes the most successful strategy is not to change, not to adapt to new pressures, but to find a place where you already fit perfectly, where your ancient design is still the best design, where your prehistoric killing methods still work. But it also teaches us about fragility, how quickly the perfect can become extinct, how isolation that preserves can also doom, how a species that survived millions of years can be pushed to the brink in a single century. The dragon on the ridge begins to move. Its claws dig into the volcanic rock. Its tail sweeps behind it for balance. It descends toward the valley where water pools and prey gathers. It moves with the confidence of an apex predator, the patience of a hunter that knows it always wins, the certainty of a creature that has been doing this exact thing for longer than our species has existed. Night falls. The dragon disappears into the darkness. Tomorrow, it will hunt again. It will wait hours for a kill. It will strike with venom and teeth. It will feed until gorged. And it will continue the cycle that has sustained its kind since the Pleistocene. Komodo dragons are not monsters from the past. They are proof that nature never stopped creating them. They are evidence that the age of reptiles never truly ended. It just found a place to hide. A refuge where prehistoric could become permanent, where ancient could become eternal. On 5 small islands in Indonesia, dragons still rule. They still kill with venom. They still eat their young. They still embody everything we fear about the natural world. Raw power, primal hunger, ruthless efficiency, no compassion, no mercy, just survival. And as long as those islands remain, as long as humans decide these creatures are worth saving, the Komodo dragon will endure. A living connection to a world that vanished. A window into the Mesozoic. A reminder that sometimes evolution's greatest achievement is knowing when not to change. The monsters of Komodo Island are real. They are here. They are watching. And they are waiting.